It's time to treat ourselves. Now, you may be in your 60s or 70s like me, or maybe even your 80s. And you might think, why bother? I have my routine, and it suits me just fine. But sometimes we're so stuck in our routine that we can't seem to get unstuck, and we need a little push. And so today we're going to talk about some self-care tips. So let's talk about some relaxing and enjoyable routines that we can put into practice to help us with our self-care, to help us with our mental and physical well-being, and to have just all around some fun. So the first thing I do when I get up first thing in the morning is I'll make a pot of coffee, and while it's brewing, I step outside into the fresh air. I love to do this, and I do this every morning, no matter what time of year, and it just helps me feel good. I breathe in the fresh air and I look around. I can hear the birds chirping and see them fly around. And I have a family of cardinals in my backyard, and I see them all the time just flying around, and they're so cute. So it makes me really happy, and that starts my day. It helps me welcome my day. And I would suggest, if you get the chance to do this, to do it also, and just step outside first thing in the morning, take a deep breath, and welcome your day. Another thing you can do would be to open your windows first thing in the morning and just breathe in the fresh air, let out the stale air. And that's another wonderful practice to start your day. At night, you could do the same thing, and I love to do this. I step outside, I look up at the moon and the stars, and I think about people who I love, people who have passed on or people who are still here. I just think it's a really nice way to think about them and honor them, and it ends my day just as stepping out in the morning begins my day. And I just love to do that at night. I even sometimes see bats. We have bats flying around, and I think that's really cool to see them flying around. They seem to fly in circles round and round, and I don't know, it's just really cool. I love that. Another thing I do is, now don't laugh, but I have a special cup for my tea, and it's only for my tea. And this cup reminds me of my trip to Italy. I did not get it in Italy. I actually got it in a thrift store, but it has Italian words and some drawings of the Tower of Pisa and the Roman Colosseum, and just all kinds of pizza, of course, can't forget pizza. Just all kinds of fun things that remind me of Italy. And when I make a cup of tea, I have my tea in this cup, and I love it. So maybe you have a special teacup too that you could have a cup of tea in, and it's just really fun. When you're doing your housework, I don't know how many of you do this, but I like to play music when I'm doing housework. It energizes me. The songs I listen to are kind of funny. They are from the 80's. For some particular reason, I really like the music from the 80's. So, it gets me going and it makes me happy. So, playing music when you're doing unexciting housework is a great way to stay energized and boost your mood. These are all little things that they really add up, even though they're small things. They help us get through the day. They add a little fun to our day, and they're just enjoyable. Another idea you could do is, this is something I do, and it sounds really silly, but it helps me if I'm in a kind of a funky mood. I'll talk to myself in a goofy voice, and it just kind of brings me out of it. And it helps me a little bit when I kind of get a little down in the dumps or whatever. Or if I'm nervous about something, anxious about something, I'll just talk to myself with a silly voice, and it helps. Sometimes even writing a note to yourself or writing in a journal, just a little note about what you're grateful for, or write down some of the positive qualities that you have about yourself. It would help you to, be nicer to yourself, be kinder to yourself. We all have to remember to be kind to ourselves. And if you write down some nice positive thoughts, that would be a great way to boost your mood. Of course, many of you probably have pets. I don't have any pets because I have a baking business and I can't have pets in the house. I work out of my home, but my son has a cat. My two sons each have animals. My younger son, who lives closer to me, has a cat. And when my son goes away on a vacation or whatever, I get to cat sit. And sat with Monk. Monk is her name. I sat with Monk um, for almost a week, a few weeks ago, and we had a great time. We we had some conversations. I talked to her and gave her treats, which she loves. And it's just really, it's great to be able to have a pet. They're great companions. They're wonderful for your health. They lower your blood pressure and just make you feel great. And when I go visit Monk, it just makes me happy. So I can understand that having a pet is a wonderful thing. Another idea is to take time to go out in nature or go for a walk in nature, go to a park or whatever you have nearby that you can take a walk. It's so beneficial to your health and well being to take walks, and especially in nature. Of course, walking is excellent exercise, but walking in nature, walking out in a park is just especially fun and good for you, good for us. And, take time to look around and observe whatever is around you. And if you have a dog to walk, that would be great. Great way to get some exercise is to walk your dog, of course. Just this morning, I went out and took a drive to an art festival that was being held at a local park. And it was just fun to, the drive is beautiful. We have a lot of covered bridges here in our area. And so I took a picture of that because it's so pretty. And just the drive itself is beautiful. You go through these woods and there are streams along the side, and it's just fun and relaxing. So if you have any art festivals or any farmers markets or any kind of things going on outside, I would encourage you to get outside and enjoy it. I love to spend time in my garden. Gardening is just great therapy. It can boost your mood and just make you feel happy and less anxious. These flowers here from my garden, but this year I've started to grow from seed zinnias and snapdragons, and I just love it. And then I have a lot of perennials, and they just, of course, come back year after year, so they take care of themselves. And it's just, gardening is a wonderful way to boost your mood too, and it's great therapy. Once in a while, you should treat yourself to a special little gift. And I don't mean to spend a lot of money. You could buy a new tube of lipstick in a new color. You could buy a new nail polish in a special color, just something like that, even a new tea or coffee flavor. And you could save that for a Sunday morning. It could just be your special treat. But again, it's those little special treats that really add up to helping us. And don't forget, you could also plan a trip. You know, um, I'm planning a trip this September. I'd like to go either down the shore, the Jersey Shore, or maybe someplace like Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket. I just really want to be by the ocean after the summer crowd leaves and it's a little quieter. I think that's the most beautiful time to be at the beach. So you could also plan a trip, you know? You could look into maybe a bus trip that's going somewhere you're interested in. Maybe it could be some gardens that you'd want to see or some museums. So please share in the comments on some ways that you like to treat yourself and let us all know. And thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.